All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the War Games podcast number 12, The Do-Over. So as some of you may remember, Wednesday evening during the podcast, we had some, well, by we I mean me, had some internet issues and we had to reschedule the podcast to tonight. So I definitely appreciate you guys coming back to hang out, and once again joining me tonight is Ron, and Locke has also joined us tonight, and good old Wee Woo will be joining us shortly. So again, thank you guys for joining. And Taco, my turkey day was quite good. Ate a fuck ton of food. Hopefully yours was also quite well. Hey Ron, I know you've had the week off, which is incredibly fucking rare for you. How was your turkey day?
It was great. I sat around, did basically nothing except for playing video games. Can't ask for much better.
It's like fucking Christmas for you. Since
Hell
I'm
yeah.
sure you probably don't get Christmas off.
Actually, I do.
Oh, wow, that is amazing. For those of you guys that don't know, Ron, who you guys would know, especially from our chats and stuff, he moderates for all of us, pretty much. He leads a very, very fucking busy life. That being said, since I had to reschedule the podcast this week to today, I happened to look and Steam had a sale going, obviously, for Black Friday or whatever. And ArmA 3 is on sale. So I had the idea that since I had to reschedule, to say sorry to you guys, I am going to give away a copy of ArmA 3 with the Apex DLC. That being said, when I mentioned something about it, dipshit Bollinger here said, hey, I'll buy a copy too, and you can give it away. So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to give away a copy of ArmA 3 Apex Edition tonight, and we are also going to give one away Sunday night as kind of a celebration of the end of Operation Crimson Moon, hopefully, provided we're successful. So that raffle is going to be going throughout the entire podcast tonight. To enter that, it's only on the Twitch side, unfortunately, so if you're on YouTube, you'll have to hop over to Twitch real quick and just hit !raffle, and that'll enter you into the raffle for ArmA 3 Apex Edition, which is normally $70. So we'll be giving that away at the end of the podcast tonight. And again, Ron, thank you very much for your generosity, douchebag.
Not a problem.
So the next thing I want to go into is kind of where we got cut off last week, and that is we had just started talking about the new Punisher series from Netflix. And very quickly, Too Tall, thank you very much for that 3 months in a row. Definitely appreciate the support to the channel, brother. And good morning to Malaysia. So, Ron, you were giving your thoughts on Punisher, and it was pretty much getting cut off left and right. So, real quickly, kind of recap for us, what were your thoughts on the new Punisher series? We did see the Punisher a little bit in Daredevil Season 2, which was pretty damn good. But what were your thoughts on the standalone season?
I thought it was fantastically done. Great storyline, great writing, for the most part. You know, there were maybe only one or two characters that I didn't really give a shit about. But as far as John Bernthal's portrayal of the Punisher and Frank Castle, I can't see anyone else doing that role ever again. He is just too perfect for it.
Right. And for anyone that doesn't know what the Punisher doesn't really know the origins of it or anything, the Punisher was initially a character that was created as a villain, but then very quickly, kind of like Wolverine, was turned into a hero, but more of an anti-hero. In the first iteration of the Punisher, he was a Vietnam War veteran who came home, obviously was dealing with shit, and his family was senselessly murdered in Central Park. And that's what set him about his path of basically vengeance and retribution. Obviously, new Punisher, they needed to update it. They didn't want to to a Vietnam War vet since he would have been a senior citizen. So they changed it to Iraq and Afghanistan vet, and they held somewhat true to the source material in that his family was murdered in front of him, but it wasn't in Central. Well, it was in Central Park, but it wasn't just a senseless murder as it was in the original iteration. It kind of had shit to do with what he had done overseas and stuff like that. That being said, as Aaron mentioned, Jon Bernthal's portrayal of the Punisher and as Frank Castle was absolutely fucking epic. I've seen each iteration of the Punisher on film, whether it be Dolph Lundgren back in the 80s, then we had Thomas Jane in the early 2000s, and now we have Jon Bernthal. And when I seen and we also had, I forget the guy's name now, that did Punisher Warzone. That guy was really good. The movie itself was but his portrayal was really good. Anyways, when I seen Thomas Jane's Punisher, the film, I thought, okay, this is as good as we're going to get for the Punisher. And then we had Jon Bernthal get announced as the Punisher. Now, most people at that point were familiar with Jon Bernthal from The Walking Dead as Shane. And the second I seen that announcement that he was going to be the Punisher, I was all for it, because he was pseudo the same character in The Walking Dead, just slightly fucking unhinged. And that's really what the Punisher is. He is a fucking force of will that cannot be reasoned with, cannot be, bought, anything like that. He is just a fucking force upon which you either get out of the way or start praying. And that's what he brought to the table for sure in this series. Anybody that has not seen the new Punisher series from Netflix, I definitely recommend it. Aaron recommends it. That being said, I was kind of torn on the series for a couple of reasons. Really one main reason, and that is I went into the series expecting, the Punisher, just unbridled fucking violence. And, if you had watched the teaser trailer, that's what they show you. They're playing fucking Metallica's One, and instead of drum beats, it's the, report of a saw going off, which still to this day is my favorite fucking trailer I've ever seen. That being said, obviously the entire show is not going to be just straight fucking violence. They have to, fill it up with stuff. And some of it I liked, some of it I commend them for what they did. But for myself, it was pretty hard to watch at points. And the part that was hard to watch for me was a buddy of his is basically a counselor, a group counselor for veterans, who himself is a veteran. And some of the parts of that were pretty hard to watch. The guy's talking about stuff. There's one character in the show, a young kid in his mid-20s, who reminds me a lot of a brother of mine, who, and when I say brother, I mean like a blood brother. And to me, a blood brother isn't someone that you share DNA with. That's a biological brother. A blood brother is someone who would spill blood, including their own, to help you. So that character reminded me a lot of one of my blood brothers, and it made parts of the entire series very difficult to watch. One part in particular where he was having a pretty bad nightmare, and his dad come down the stairs, and he rolled out of the bed, got behind cover, and pulled his Beretta and shot around at his dad. Luckily missed, but again, it was just a TV show, but they depicted things so realistically when it came to what guys deal with coming home. And again, it was pretty difficult to watch, and I found myself wanting to just fast forward past it, but I didn't. What about for you, Aaron? Did it seem like those scenes were realistic to you?
Oh, definitely. I myself have never served, so obviously I don't have any firsthand experience of that. But I do have many friends that served and were deployed, and I've seen, that character in real life, and they're my close friends, and I thought they did a really, I don't want to say good job because it's obviously not good, but I think they did a respectable job of
Right.
portraying what that is, and I can definitely see where someone that has been deployed overseas, in whatever regards, how that could be difficult. But obviously, it also is good in a lot of ways to kind of bring more the awareness of that. So
Absolutely.
you got to kind of take some of the good with the bad.
And
So
now,
they didn't try to PG-13 it up or anything. Well,
oh
I guess it
fuck
is.
no,
No.
no, this is not the X-Men of comics. This is like fucking. This is the Watchmen of comics.
And
Oh, nice.
Deadpool.
All right.
Yeah, and Deadpool, minus the humor. And now joining us is Lance Corporal Wee Woo. Thank you very much for hopping in here with us, brother.
No problem, man. Glad to be here.
And also, Cope, thank you very much for that 5-month resub. You know I appreciate it, bro. We would catch you up to speed. We were talking about the Punisher series on Netflix. Myself and Ron slobbering all over the Marvel dick, if you will.
Nice.
But I was explaining how difficult some of the parts were to watch, at least for me, with the shit that some of the guys in the show were dealing with, being vets and coming home and not really knowing their purpose and shit like that. And like I said, it very closely reminded me of a brother of mine who has some of the same issues. I'm not going to say they're problems because it's it's not a problem. It's just an issue that he has to deal with, and sometimes we help him deal with that. But that being said, I would urge you guys, if you have not seen it yet, definitely check out the series with one caveat, and that caveat being, if you are suffering from any of those issues, if you have those problems, I would advise you to take caution, because again, those scenes are so difficult to watch, and what you don't expect to say from a fucking Marvel TV show, but it is, and that's why when I went to my buddy and said, hey, brother, I know you've been looking forward to this and wanting to watch it, but for me, please don't. He knew when I told him that I wasn't bullshitting, it wasn't a joke, and he won't watch it because I asked him not to. But again, definitely watch it, but just go into it with caution. And I fucking commend Marvel so much for how they depicted it and how realistic it was. And the sad thing to me is with this series is it's getting overshadowed by the amount of violence that's in it, especially following Vegas and stuff like that. People are fucking tearing it apart because of all the violence, and nobody has said a word about how they are depicting what it's like for guys coming home and how realistic it is. I haven't read a single fucking word of praise like they should be getting, which is very upsetting that they're overlooking all of the good that Marvel has done as far as depicting that as realistically as they have, and gone straight to being politically correct and fucking condemning them for their violence and shit, which is pretty upsetting. And I know you said you've only caught little parts of it, right? You haven't been able to see the whole series.
Yeah, just a friend of mine wanted me to watch a bit with him. I don't remember what episode I saw, but it was pretty violent.
Yeah, it's very fucking rowdy. you know, like we were saying, it's definitely not the fucking, it's not the Fox X-Men comics that you'll see. It's pretty rough. But anyways, long short of it is, I highly, highly recommend the new series. But again, if you are having some issues, you know, just go into it with caution. And I guess one thing I'll add to that is, you know, if at any point in time someone is kind of having those feelings and shit where you start feeling kind of claustrophobic, and believe me, you're listening right now, you know what I mean when I say you're feeling claustrophobic. Please at no point in time ever fucking hesitate to shoot me personally a message on Twitch, fucking email, whatever way you need to fucking get a hold of me. Because at least some of us have been there. So don't hesitate to reach out. Don't feel fucking ashamed or any other stupid macho bullshit that I know you're gonna fucking feel. Just fucking do it. I know it sucks, but do it. And when I say that, you know, obviously when guys are going through shit like that, they say, you know, counseling, go see a counselor and this and that. The simple fact is, unless you can go to a counselor who is a combat veteran, who has been there, in my eyes, you're wasting your time. They're never going to understand it unless they were actually there. You need to go to another brother who was there and has been through it. So yeah, again, just, you know, reach out if you need to. But now that I've brought the mood down all fucking somber and shit, yeah, let's try and pick it up a little bit. So
apparently Weebu can't pronounce Browning. Is that true?
Weebu can't pronounce shit properly.
I can never pronounce anything.
Right? What's the other one you have a really hard time with?
Just
variants.
throw me some words.
Variants.
What
Yeah,
about
there
variant?
you go. Fucking God.
Tomato, potato, potato.
Nobody calls it fucking potato or tomato.
A Boeing submachine. No, it's a Boeing.
Browning,
Boeing
you
rifle.
dick.
No, it's a Boeing. It's like the plane, only it's a machine gun. You know.
The greatest American fucking citizen to ever live, John Browning, and you can't even pronounce his goddamn last name correctly. Or Wehrmacht. Can't pronounce Wehrmacht.
Wehrmannschaft.
Wehrmacht. It's German. W sound like V's. Wehrmacht.
Oh, that's probably why I failed French.
Oh my God. Okay, so let's get into some shit that you can fucking at least half-ass pronounce.
Sweet.
So, what I wanted to talk about this week is obviously something that pretty much everybody is talking about. I've watched a fuck ton of videos on it, especially from Pretty Good Gaming, which if you guys don't follow Pretty Good Gaming on YouTube, go do it. Those guys are fucking excellent. But the situation with the loot boxes and games as a service and this and that. We've been obviously seeing this more and more pop up. You know, it kind of pseudo started with all the DLCs and then the season passes and shit like that. And don't think that like DLCs are a new fucking thing. DLCs are the expansions of the past. Okay, we've always had DLCs, always, especially in PC gaming. But back in the day, we called them expansions. Okay, you paid $10, $20, whatever, for the next expansion of CNC, Command and Conquer. You got an expansion, and it was, you know, part of a new game or almost a full new game. That was DLC back in the day. You didn't download it. You fucking bought the actual disc. However, what has been fairly new has been that of microtransactions and essentially games as a service, which also wraps in subscriptions and things along those lines. Now, I've played subscription-based games. I played Warcraft for like 4 years, maybe 5 years. So I've kind of been through every iteration of, game sales and stuff like that. When it comes to microtransactions, those are something that really became popularized in free-to-play mobile games. Because obviously free-to-play games, there's no way for them to make money. You're not initially buying the game. It's free-to-play. So they put microtransactions in there to recoup their money. That's understandable for a free-to-play game. Now, what about for a full-priced AAA game? We're paying $60 for the game already. Why are there microtransactions in there? To, quote-unquote, recoup money? Well, we've already bought the game. Now, the issue here is, games like CSGO or Overwatch have purely cosmetic shit that you can get via microtransactions. And then Battlefront, via EA, started pushing that limit to where you can now get game-altering objects from these microtransactions. And obviously it started a big fucking shit dip. People finally started to push back in a fucking big bad way. And now it's created a gigantic fucking shitstorm for EA, because not only is now EA in hot water with the general public, on top of that, the big fucking Mickey Mouse dick of Disney has come down upon EA's head and said, hey, the fuck do you guys think you're doing? We have a movie coming out in a month. You better unfuck your shit. So, I want to kind of break this down as far as what our opinions are on the microtransactions, good, bad, how we think they're affecting gaming, and if we think there is room for them within, at least for PC gaming. This is one main thing to keep in mind, guys. We're talking about PC gaming here, not console, not mobile, anything like that, just strictly PC gaming. So I want to go to you first. What are your kind of overall thoughts on microtransactions within full-priced PC games?
You ready for the rant?
Give it to me.
All right, so they, in my opinion, have a place as only cosmetic and nothing to give you a pay-to-win vibe, because all of that shit is from the mobile gaming market, that whole pay-to-win, pay to make things go faster, blah, blah, blah. And over the years, it's really slowly creeped into the PC and console gaming markets via companies slowly putting them in things and kind of testing the waters. But honestly, some people, if they really like a game, they would be more than willing to shell out a few extra bucks to have something that looks good, especially a multiplayer game, to show off with their friends, kind of to also show to give additional support to the gaming company itself. That's
Right.
why, for Bohemia, I would highly recommend, just if you can, buy all the DLCs, because we want ArmA 4 to be a good game. The more money they have, the better they can, make the engine of it. But there is always a line. The original Battlefront, if you got the deluxe whatever edition, you got Han Solo's frickin' blaster pistol, and that was like a 2-shot kill, and it was like the last weapon to get all the way.
Hold on. That is not the original Battlefront. Let's make that clear.
That is true. EA's Battlefront.
There we go.
And that happened back in 2015. And then they decided, I guess, to just fuck themselves further with the loot boxes in Battlefront 2 and still make it very pay to win. And that's why we have all this backlash. But cosmetic DLC has been around ever since loot boxes were introduced in Team Fortress 2 years ago. I don't remember the exact date, but it's almost 4 or 5 years ago. It's the only reason that loot boxes have recently really picked up traction is Blizzard introduced them into Overwatch, and then every company's followed Blizzard's model because Blizzard, had a huge hit and success with Overwatch. So now everyone's trying to copy Blizzard's scheme for monetization.
Right. When the top selling game on the planet says we're going to put in cosmetic loot boxes, everybody else is going to jump on that train. They're not just going to sit on the sidelines.
I think the difference is, like Liru said, people are going to buy loot boxes if they already enjoy the game. They like what it's about, they like the art style, they just want to get a little bit more from it. What I think the companies are trying to do now is, rather than allow you to make that choice, they start gating players, in their games, like
Mhm.
Shadow of War, making it a grind so you can, speed it up by buying
Yeah,
the
they
loot
turn it
boxes.
into a mobile game. That's
Yeah,
exactly
Yep.
what a mobile game does.
and that's total bullshit, trying to, quote unquote, test the waters, but really what they're
Right.
doing is pushing it as absolutely as far as they can go and see how much money they can get before people start really complaining, and losing their
Right.
shit. And I think it's
Well,
reaching that point now.
and Tootie brings up a good point in chat, and that is, with the Blood and Wine DLC. That Blood and Wine DLC for The Witcher 3, that to me is the embodiment of an expansion. That is not a DLC, that's a fucking expansion. The Hearts of Stone was kind of a DLC, it's fairly short, but Blood and Wine was almost a full game. I mean, there was more gameplay in Blood and Wine than what there is in pretty much any AAA single player game at this point. And that was via CD Projekt Red, who we talked about, was it last week or the week before, who are like the sweethearts of game developers. Everybody loves CD Projekt Red. And that Blood and Wine DLC is a big reason behind that. They gave people another 30 plus hours of gameplay for $20 and said, here you go. This is from us to you guys. Here's a whole nother fucking game for $20. Which, like Liru said, if you appreciate a game developer, like what they're doing, you're going to support them. You're going to buy their products. CD Projekt Red could put out a fucking Telltale game and people would buy the fuck out of it simply because of the fact that it's the Witcher series. It's CD Projekt Red that has their hands in it. If, WB did it with Batman, didn't work out so fucking great. Because people don't want to support that developer as much. Now, as was brought up, Blizzard brought loot boxes into Overwatch, the highest fucking selling game of the year when it came out. It blew everybody out of the water, and it is still selling insanely strong. They brought in cosmetic loot boxes. Okay, it has no effect whatsoever on the game, much like what CSGO does with their skins and shit like that. Okay, now a lot of people don't have any problems with that. I myself don't have a problem with that. If you want to drop $20 to make your guy look different from everybody else, and in your mind you deem it's worth that, then great, I'm all for it. It's your fucking money. Spend it the way you please, as long as it doesn't have any effect on the game, which I'm pretty sure pretty much everybody agrees on. If you're gonna have microtransactions in a game, that's fine, but don't make it fucking pay to win. Because then you end up with what they call whales, guys that will drop thousands upon thousands of dollars in a game and just fucking obliterate everybody. So I have no problem myself with visual stuff as far as microtransactions. Just, it's fine, as long as it's not affecting the game. That being said, when EA did the loot boxes in Battlefront 2, there was a huge fucking hoopla over it. Everybody was pissed about how it affected the game, how it turned the game into pay to win. To the point that the Belgium government decided to open an investigation into EA's practices, especially after it coming to light 2 years after the fact that EA filed a patent for their matchmaking system to matchmake players who have better equipment that they have bought via microtransactions against people that don't have them, which is shady as fuck. But the Belgian government opened an investigation against EA, citing that the microtransactions, the loot boxes that they had in the game, is a form of gambling, which, unless you're fucking Stevie Wonder, you can see that it is a form of gambling. Now, after the Belgian government opened their investigation, the Australian government did the same. And now there is U.S. representatives pushing for the U.S. to open investigations into EA. Which, again, is why Disney come down on top of EA and said, hey, fuck sticks. We have a Star Wars movie coming out in a month. Unfuck this, or we will end you. So, EA pulled all fucking loot boxes from the game temporarily so they can rework the system. That being said, the thing that people are kind of glossing over, and everybody seemed to think that just because the Belgian government opened an investigation, that was it. Like the decision was already final. They already found that it was gambling because EA pulled it out of the game. No, there has been no decision made yet by anyone, by the Belgian government, Australia, us. Nobody has made a decision yet. EA pulled those loot boxes because of the heat that was coming down on them from Disney. It had nothing to do with a verdict made by any courts. All right, so keep that in mind, guys. It is not necessarily gone for good because, the court said, no, this is fucking illegal. No, it was Disney saying, hey, we have a movie coming out. You're going to fuck this up for us. Get rid of it. That's it. So there is still a very good fucking possibility that we're going to see those come back at some point in time. Now, that being said, the other thing you have to keep in mind is both the Belgium investigation and the Australian investigation, they are not looking solely at game-affecting content when it comes to those microtransactions. And what I mean by that is they're not investigating only loot boxes where you can get items that affect the game. They're investigating all loot crates. So that means simply cosmetic ones as well. So if the Belgian government find that all loot crates are a form of gambling, and Australia follows suit, then we look at the US possibly following suit. Now what that means is, if they deem that loot crates as a system are a form of gambling, and therefore illegal in games that are rated below mature, then all games that are rated below mature will have to get rid of their fucking loot crates or not be able to sell in those countries. So that means Blizzard, with Overwatch, with purely cosmetic items, would have to get rid of all of their loot systems or not be able to sell in those countries, which they just wouldn't do, especially if the US followed suit with everybody else. They wouldn't just stop sales to the US. So that is really the big thing on the line right now, is not just loot boxes that give you items that affect the game. It is loot boxes as a whole. So what do you guys think about that? Would you guys rather see loot boxes entirely gotten rid of? Or would you like to see just the pay-to-win shit gotten rid of and the cosmetic things stay?
Well, with loot crates, it is kind of fun to see what you're going to get and that kind of thing, but...
Well, yeah, that's why people go to the casino and pull a slot machine.
Yeah, exactly. But if you notice what Blizzard does, I'm not sure, probably many other companies, is that they'll add a bunch of fluff in there. It's the crap, when you roll low or whatever. So it'll be like spray paints for Overwatch and that kind of thing. So what I'd like to see is the percentage chance of you actually getting something, whatever it is, like a skin or a voice or an animation. So even if you knew the chances of you getting that, like, that would be better. But
so what you're saying is they should publicly display, these are your chances for items A through Z. Now you can roll.
Yeah. And if not that, then just, take out loot boxes entirely and just have people choose what they want to buy. I want this costume, it's going to cost me $20. And that would be totally fine with me too.
Okay, and what about you, Weewoo? Would you like to see all of them gone or kind of a mixture?
Personally, I'd like to see all of them gone. And I know I did just say I don't mind cosmetic loot boxes for, specific games, but the industry as a whole, when we talk about AAA, I don't think there's only like 2 or 3 companies I still like compared to a decade ago when I liked a good amount of them. And I think we're just now at a point where legislation needs to really catch up with things. This isn't the only big issue I've been tracking. I've also been tracking the mod issue, especially with what happened with GTA 5 and what's going on with Bethesda right now.
Yeah, especially with that multiplayer mod. That fucking pissed me off.
Yeah, I'm also worried, I don't want to see that bleed into other companies like ArmA, but I think at this rate, there needs to be a big slap on the wrist. Legislation needs to catch up, and gaming companies need to really rethink how they do their monetization schemes. Because I think what really annoyed me recently was always hearing companies saying, "Oh, video games are so expensive to make, blah blah blah," and then a report was published about a week ago. EA telling its stockholders, which I am one of, and I get these reports, that
how much they made, yeah.
Not only how much they made, but the fact that they stated, even though they cut out loot boxes, it will not affect their estimates. So in reality, they don't need these things in order to keep making games.
No, it's just for a little bit of extra scratch in their fucking pocket. Now, what about you, AA Ron? Because, I mean, you obviously big supporter to my channel and stuff, and you have pretty much every fucking game I can think of, which would, I guess, half-ass classify you as a whale, even though you're tiny. What are your thoughts on it? Do you support the microtransactions in the games, or would you rather just see fucking all of them gone?
I'm kind of in the frame of mind of, I don't mind the cosmetics. In fact, I thoroughly enjoy them. And I think PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds currently has a great system for their cosmetics. You can either buy the crates with currency you can only earn by playing games, which is fantastic. It's not any kind of pay to win out of pocket, it's just time. And that rewards players that, put their time in and put effort into the game, into, better cosmetic items as far as, better looking, whatever. And then if you don't want to put the time into playing the game to get those cosmetic items, there's also the Steam Marketplace, where you can go ahead and spend real money on, those purely cosmetic items.
But that money is going to players, not to... Well, some of it goes to Steam.
Right.
So how that works actually is a small percentage goes to the company, a small percentage goes to Steam, and then the rest goes to the player itself. The percentages are like 10 and 5%.
Right. And I think that system is fantastic. It's not giving anyone an accelerated edge in the game. You just look different, and you look the way that you want your character to look, and that's fine with me. But as far as the other things, as far as like, I know CS:GO has their huge skin market, and it makes people a lot of money, through the marketplace as far as trading and all that stuff, and that's great. That's a capital venture for some people, and because of a game, that's possible. But as far as like the pay to win stuff, in multiplayer, I definitely don't support it, because that's just ridiculous horse shit. That's totally nerfing the idea of people being good at the game, and basically why we started playing games in the first place. And in single player, it's just fucking ridiculous, because as you've seen in Assassin's Creed Origins, there's pay to win stuff in a single player game that just makes you get through the game faster, which is dumb.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that to point out here, I personally, I'm for getting rid of all of it, because I'm of the mentality, if you're going to get rid of part of it, get rid of all of it. End of fucking discussion. There's no fucking wiggle room, no nothing, just axe all of it. That being said, LaRue brought up the point of, developers saying games are becoming more and more expensive to develop. I say horse shit, but whatever. Okay, if that's the argument they want to go with, that games are more expensive to develop, which can almost be understood because of the fact that, it's taking more people to develop the games, stronger machines, stuff like that. Okay, they have more out-of-pocket costs, but they also have more people buying games than fucking ever before. Gaming is the largest form of media on the fucking planet. They make Hollywood look like a fucking peasant in the streets when it comes to the amount of money that the gaming market makes today. That being said, okay, we take the argument that it's more expensive to develop games now. Why do they not just simply increase the base price of the game? What do you guys think? Would you guys pay $80 for a AAA game after 20 years of paying $60?
Hell yeah. I mean, if you look at what they already do, they'll make like a full title and split off parts of it that they're going to sell down the road for, an additional.
Yeah, it's DLC.
Yeah, exactly. $20 each. I would gladly pay $80 just to get the full experience without, knowing that it's already in the game and I have to pay this just to unlock it because it's already there.
Yeah, exactly. It's already done. It's already developed. It's ready to go. There's fucking day one DLCs on every single fucking game. Why can't we just pay extra and have the entire game now? What about you, Aaron? Would you pay an extra 20 or maybe even $30 for a full AAA game instead of having microtransactions or DLCs?
Oh, for sure. ArmA is probably the most guilty of DLCs, and it's just because it's a game that's been in development for years, and it's always constantly in development.
Yeah, exactly. That's completely different. Where they're like, we have this plan for DLC, but it won't be ready for another year or another 2 years. That I can understand. That's just an expansion. Like I'm totally behind that. I can understand them, on day one saying, yes, we're gonna have DLC, but it's not gonna be for a year or two because it's not even done yet. We haven't even started working on it yet. But this is what we're going to do. That's perfectly fine to me. That's just letting me know ahead of time, hey, there's gonna be a fucking expansion for this. So if I like it, I have something to look forward to. What about you? Would you pay more than $60 for a AAA game right now?
I would gladly pay $100 or more for a proper Battlefront, for fuck's sake.
Right. Well,
Please.
That's the thing that I honestly don't think game developers are understanding is that people are willing to pay more, or at least everybody I talk to is willing to pay more. Like, yes, paying $60 for a game is nice. It's been fucking great that the gaming world has been able to stick roughly to that price for 20 fucking years. Yes, we have the stupid ass fucking special editions for 80 and 90 and $100 and whatever. Those can, whatever, I don't care. They can stay. If you're dumb enough to pay $120 for a special edition because you get a 6-inch statue that makes your penis feel bigger, fine, fucking do it. But, as far as a base game, I would be perfectly happy to pay $80, $90, $100 for a full game where they're saying, here you go. This is what we had planned, instead of releasing 3 DLCs on day one, here's the full fucking game. So now instead of, 8 hours of gameplay, you have 30 hours of gameplay. Here you go, $80. In my mind, people would jump all over that. Maybe I'm fucking nuts, but I think people would fucking jump on that. Yes, it would probably slow things down a little bit at first while people get accustomed to it and get used to it and hopefully see that game developers aren't fucking them over and just giving them the same amount of content for more money, which sadly is what I believe some game developers would fucking do, such as EA would just give you the same goddamn content and mark their shit up by $20 because they're pieces of shit. But some developers, I do believe, would do it correctly, like CD Projekt Red. They would say, okay, here's, $80 for the game. It took us a year longer to put it out because we wanted to give you guys more content for your money. So instead of giving us, The Witcher 3 and then a year down the road they gave us Blood and Wine, they would just give us all of it a year later for $80. So you get it all as one hit, which I'm perfectly okay with. I support that. But again, I think some game developers would definitely fucking take advantage of that and, still give you the same amount of content for $20 more, which is the worrying thing, that, it would be the same practices. That being said, we are finally starting to see the gaming community have more of a voice. And a big part of that obviously is because of the internet, because of forums, because of Steam reviews and shit like that, refunds, stuff like that. The gaming community is finally able to stand up a little bit and say, hey, no, fuck you. You're not going to, screw us out of our money. And obviously Battlefront 2 is a big fucking depiction of that, of what happens when the community steps up and says, no, fuck you, we're not standing for this. And that's nice to see, having been in gaming for so long now, and finally seeing developers directly react to what the community is saying and what the community is doing. It's very nice to say, or very nice to see. Now, the question I have for you guys is, do you think that is a trend that's going to continue? Do you think the game developers are going to be more and more aware of what the online community is saying and take that into account? Or do you think that they are going to try and stifle that and not necessarily ignore the community, but put window dressing on it and tell us what we want to hear and then give us a fucked product like Battlefront 2?
I think it really depends on the company. Real quick, I just want to address what CG was saying about the conversation becoming kind of anti-capitalist, that it's a free market and these companies do this, and if people don't like it they can vote with their wallet. But my retort for that is that it's a cultural thing too. It's gaming culture. We know the difference because we're a little bit older, but younger kids don't know the difference. They're like, oh well, this is the way it is, we're paying all this money, and they don't realize that it's kind of like the companies are taking advantage of them in a way. So I think that that's bad, and I think that's good that people are speaking up about it. As far as companies continuing it, sure, they're going to keep trying to do it so long as they make money from it. That's what I think, unless people are aware of it and speak with their wallet.
Right. And that's okay. So that argument of, people, as you said, voting with their wallet. If they don't like the product, then don't buy it. Okay. So we go that route. We as informed consumers don't buy EA or don't buy Battlefront 2. We, again, are informed consumers. What about those that are not informed? Now, granted, the argument can be made that they can be informed. If they were to do their research, they would see that, okay, this is gambling or whatever. This is taking advantage of me in some way. They can get that information. It's out there, absolutely. That doesn't mean that they're going to go research it. The fucking age-old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. On top of that, there are very few games out there that are rated for mature audiences, which would be adults. And even those that are, 99% of the time, those that are not technically of age to play those games get their hands on them due to their parents and stuff like that. So they are being taken advantage of more than anybody else. Now, mind you, they say the average age now of a gamer is 35 years old. Okay? That's someone who is a perfectly good age to understand everything that's going on. Makes sense. I know plenty of fucking people that are 30, 35 years old that are blithering fucking idiots that, they just love to refresh their tongue with the taste of double pane glass. So that argument does work, but again, when it's in an informed market, which it's not. Not everybody buying these games are 100% informed of everything that's going on. And I seen someone mention earlier about how in China, game manufacturers have to show your percentages of being able to win something, like we were talking about earlier with the loot crates. They have to show the percentage of getting a certain item. That now makes that consumer informed. Flat out. They are now perfectly well informed of what their odds are of getting said item. That now negates that argument that they're not informed. So now they're taking it into their own hands. I completely support that. Not everybody does that. In fact, the vast majority of countries don't require that. So we can vote with our wallets, but when you have a very small section of the pie who know what's going on, who have done the research, and are able to make that informed decision, it has absolutely zero effect when the other 95% of the pie has no clue as to what's going on, and they just buy the game because it looks cool. So believe me, I understand that argument and I support it and I practice it myself. If I don't fucking like what a game developer is doing, I'm not going to buy their fucking game. Or, I'm going to make it very fucking vocal that I don't like what they're doing. But again, not everybody does that. Not everybody is capable of doing that. So, my next question is, sorry, Locke, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and that's the thing. They don't want people to be informed, because the more informed you are, the harder it is for them to take your money, right? So
yeah.
That's why they try to do that, and most people don't see it. They don't look at these things. They're like, oh, this company made a game, and it's like this and this, and they don't see any immediate reason to have to look into things, but it's kind of hidden there, right, behind the scenes.
Yeah. And that's, like CG said, it's on the market to inform itself. And it is absolutely 100%. If people make the mistake of spending their money in that situation, it is their fault because they didn't get the information that is provided for them. But at the same time, you can't expect everyone to, go about getting that information themselves. And, it's one of the things that I tell people all the fucking time. It's just a matter of common sense to, look into what you're fucking buying. But common sense is a fucking superpower. And it's on us who possess it to carry the weight of those who don't fucking possess it. So, to say it's on them to do the research, yeah, absolutely it is. But it's also on us as informed consumers to slap them in the face and say, hey, here's the information. This is where you can find more of it. Because you can't expect them to go out and do it on their own. So, again, I do support that argument that it's on them to fucking do the research. But again, at the same time, I don't, because you can't expect them to do it on their own. And the fact that game developers aren't doing it themselves, the game developers themselves aren't putting the information out there saying, this is your odds of doing this, and so on and so forth, that is them purposefully taking advantage of those who will not go out and get that information, which to me is just shady as fuck. And yeah, you can say that it's them working a capitalist market, which it is, but that doesn't mean it's right. That doesn't mean it's okay. It's still fucked up. So again, that's where it falls on us who are informed, who do have the information and have a voice to step up and say, hey, stop being sheep and fucking don't support this unless you believe it's right. Which if they do, then fine. Let them fucking support it. But I find it hard to believe that the majority of people would support something like game-altering fucking loot crates. I mean, maybe I'm crazy, but I highly doubt that the majority of the gaming community supports that. And I mean, it's already been shown that they pretty much don't because of the shit that's gone down between EA and DICE. But what do you think, LaRue? Do you think that it's just kind of free market, fucking let them have at it, do as you please, and we just sit back and, buy what games we want to and don't buy the ones we don't want to? Or what do you think on that?
My honest thought is, yeah, you can be conservative with your wallet as much as you want, but these types of issues with a bunch of uninformed people, it's like, and I hate to bring this topic up and I hope we quickly get off of it, but it's like politics. There's too many uninformed people.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of stupid stuff happens, and you can be as informed as you want. You can try to spread the information as best you can, but in the end, the only thing that's going to make people change is legal action, and that's why I want these loot boxes to go away.
Right, and with that, when the informed party is the minority, then if we vote with our wallets and don't buy the games that, have mechanics and stuff like that we don't like, okay, but again, we're the minority. So it has zero effect on the game developer. So why would it change? And why would other game developers not adopt the same mindset? Because again, you look at Blizzard, probably the biggest fucking game company in the world right now, next to Riot, thanks to fucking League. When they put their stamp on something and say, this is what we're doing, other game companies follow. So if that becomes the trend, if that becomes the norm, then what are we to do? Those that don't support it, do we just have to stop gaming because everybody else is following this trend? That doesn't seem right either.
Well,
so
headlines are a big deal too. Like, the more noise we make, how it's starting to make headlines. That's how Disney probably found out about it, is because Wall Street, commented on it, I think, or something like that. And every company hates bad PR because it is just atrocious for their company. And that's when I start paying attention, because when it gets into mainstream media, it actually becomes a thing. It's not just like, some gamers are complaining or whatever.
Right, when they're talking about it on fucking ABC News, who is owned by Disney, they're going, oh, fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's the thing with the informed people being the minority. Luckily, there is a way for that minority's voice to be heard very fucking loudly via the internet and forums and stuff like that. And that's how all of this came about, was that, again, obviously, we are the fucking minority because Battlefront 2 sold very fucking well. Call of Duty fucking World War II sold very fucking well. But a vocal minority stood up and said, hey, this isn't fucking right. I don't care about the 20 million fucking 16-year-old kids that just went out and bought this shit. Me, as a fucking 40-year-old family man, knows this is fucking wrong. And I'm going to stop it. Or I'm going to at least try to stop it. So that's where we're somewhat lucky, in the sense that we're able to voice our opinion to where other people will pick up on it and see it and hear about it. But again, if these rulings within these courts decide to go the other way and say, no, it's not gambling, we're going to allow it, it's perfectly fine, then, right now they're pushing the envelope, seeing how far they can take it. How much money can they possibly wring out of this? So if this is deemed perfectly acceptable, then what's next? What are they going to push the limits with next? How are they going to try and wring more money out of it? Because the simple fact is, they're a business. They have to make money. I completely understand that. If they don't make money, they have to shut the fuck down. That makes total sense. But, as LaRue said earlier, when they release fucking board statements to their shareholders saying, hey, we're going to make the same amount of money no matter what, but if this works, we're going to add, X amount of scratch in your fucking pocket next quarter, so that, now you're not a millionaire, you're a multi-millionaire. There's something not right there, especially when they're doing it all shady back channel shit, like with the fucking patent that they filed for the multiplayer matchmaking. They sure as fuck didn't make that stuff big in public and saying, hey, we're working out a whole brand new matchmaking system that's going to make your game, your multiplayer games, like something you've never been in before, and it's going to work outstandingly, and we're going to do this, and this. No, they never said a fucking word about it, because they knew goddamn well the second that word got out that they were going to start matchmaking people who have bought items that will increase their ability in the game against people who have not bought items. They fucking knew that people would be in an uproar, so they didn't say a word about it.
Wow.
Exactly.
That's
a lot of people don't. This was 2 years ago that EA filed this patent. 2 years ago. And it's just now coming to light after all the loot box bullshit with Battlefront. So You can't tell me that they kept this secret because they were like, well, we want to make it a surprise because everybody's going to love it. No, that's not how that fucking works. Like, they didn't utter a fucking word about it because they knew that people were not going to like it and were not going to fucking support it. And now they're having to bite that bullet.
Well, a couple of things. One regarding what Lyra was saying about things not changing unless it becomes like legal action, is casual versus hardcore gamers. Because hardcore gamers are invested in the games they play, so they're going to do research and more knowledgeable about it. Where casuals are just like, man, I just want to come home from work. Heard this game was cool. Play some games. They're not really interested in the intricate politics of gaming and that kind of thing. So I think that makes a big deal about being informed and uninformed. And the other thing too about companies needing like more money to make games. Look at Notch, who made Minecraft. Like, if a game is fun, you don't. It doesn't need to be some crazy ass fucking mad graphics. Even though that's
fucking
nice.
PUBG.
Yeah, exactly.
PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, the biggest fucking game in the world right now. You cannot tell me that game cost the same amount to make as what fucking Call of Duty did. There is no goddamn way on this planet Earth that game costs the same amount of money as Call of Duty World War II. And they are fucking annihilating everybody on the market right now. To the point that fucking IGN asks the fucking main developer, when is the sequel coming out? And he has to tell him, the game isn't even fucking done yet. I'm not worried about a sequel. Like, that is huge. That a game that is still in fucking beta is just smoking everybody on the fucking market. And it's cheap as fuck. Like, you can't tell me it costs the same to develop that game as what it costs to make fucking any AAA game out right now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, games that are fun are going to make money because they're fun. They're not necessarily going to make money because they're this grand, like a movie experience like Call of Duty is doing, even though there is a place for that too. I mean, that is really cool. But that's not the staple of gaming, right? The staple of gaming is having a good time in it, oftentimes regardless of graphics, if the game is good. Like Minecraft, for example.
Absolutely. Minecraft, or, like Tootie just brought up there, that Half-Life is still €7, and it's fucking more than 10 years old. But people still love that game. They love the Half-Life franchise. And people have been begging for a decade for a new Half-Life to come out. And, whether or not we'll ever see one, answer is probably fucking no at this point. As Valve have flat out said, at this point, we're not even looking into making a new Half-Life because they can't live up to the hype, which I completely understand, and I support them 100%. You may think I'm an asshole, but I don't want them to release another Half-Life because it's just going to be a letdown. People have been so amped for it for fucking over a decade that, if they do it now, it's just going to be a letdown and a bunch of people pissed off. So you guys can hate me if you want, but I don't want them to release another Half-Life. Just let it die and remember it in the fucking annals of gaming as being one of the greatest. But that being said, like you mentioned, even older games that aren't amazing graphically still have huge player bases because they're fun. And guys still support them. Guys still fucking buy those games because they're fun. And they don't have to wring out every fucking penny from it. Obviously, one, because the game is well done past its fucking shelf life. Now it's just, extra icing on the cake for them. But, like you said, if you create a good game, a fun game, you don't have to fucking wring out every little fucking dollar from it. But what I want to kind of shift to here is, LaRue, with us being streamers, okay, we play video games basically as a living. That's what we do. When a new game comes out, at least I know for myself, I'm compelled to buy it and play it at least once on stream just to give my thoughts on it. So people in my community know what I think of it and, can hopefully make a more informed decision for themselves based upon my experience with it. And that's why I believe on the last podcast, maybe the one before that, I had talked about that this time of year is a great time of year for gamers because there are tons of games coming out and now there's tons of sales going on. But at the same time, myself as a streamer, it's almost a stressful time of year because I know I have X number of games I need to buy and play on the stream to give you guys my thoughts on it. Because to me, that's one of the ways for me to give back to you guys as a community is at least tell you what I think of a game so you can try and make a more informed decision. Now, LaRue, do you feel kind of the same way? When a new game comes out, do you feel like, I kind of want to grab that just so I can give the guys my thoughts on it? Or is it more so just, I'm going to, stick with playing with what I know, and if I want to play it, then I'll grab it?
That's a difficult question for me because I'm always stressed out making a new mission every day.
Right. Yeah, you're much busier than I am, at least on stream.
But I do have plans in the long run to start getting into more stuff like that. I recently tried to do it with Call of Duty World War II, but that just completely messed me up. And I'm just like, screw it. I'm just going to get a refund and just drunk stream something else. But, I do think if you have an audience, and people care about your opinion, by all means, do that. That's a great way to expand into other games because we don't know how long ArmA 3 itself is going to last, even though it's an amazing game. But what's also unique about ArmA 3, which is why I've stuck for it for so long, is there's just so much. It's like the Gary's mod of first-person shooters. You can do scenarios, you can make Zeus missions, you can make missions in the Eden editor, you can play DayZ, you can be a weird little, I don't even know what to call you, and go play Altus Life. Ugh. Or you can, there's so much you can do with it.
They call that a teenager.
The teenager.
Or as I call them, squeakers.
Squeakers. But
no, you bring up a good point though, because I get asked that question often. I know Drum does as well. As how do you not get bored with ArmA? How do you not get burned out? And the simple answer is because it's never the same. I have never done the exact same mission twice. It can look very much alike. I can even go into the same fucking town or the same base or the same terrain multiple times, but the mission is going to be different every time. Guys are going to be in different places. I'm going to approach it from a different way, stuff like that. So it's never the exact same game as what you played last time, and that's why, at least in my eyes, ArmA has such longevity because of Zeus. If it was not for Zeus, ArmA would be useless.
And I'd also like to state something. I have hosted the exact same mission, exact same amount of units, exact same placement 3 times in a row once. And the exact result was it was a success, a fail, and a success.
Right,
but it's because the player base, they played it out completely differently each time. And it's so amazing to see that. Even if you literally have something repeated for multiple trials, people will still think of different strategies because they'll say, hey, I know about this now, or oh, I didn't know about this. Let's try this, or let's try that. And then just multiply the hell out of it. Recently, ArmA 3 with the Laws of War DLC, they included something within the environment. I showed this to you, where you can take out parts of the map
out of it
and remake entire scenarios. I did that today. I remade an entire military base and made it much more detailed and unique, and it took the player base 2 hours to clear it out. It's amazing what we can do with this game.
And that's the thing too. It's a good point. I'm surprised that more games don't just give players just a pool of resources to work with and build your own thing, because those games last forever. You give someone a sandbox game with good systems in it, where they can kind of create their own fun, and that game's going to last, at least 5 years, in my opinion.
Skyrim.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's why I think Bethesda is done, or not Bethesda. We'll get to them in a fucking minute. That's why I think Bohemia has done so well is, they open their game up for modders, which we all know ArmA 3 would not be the game it is without mods. Okay? If it didn't have Zeus and it didn't have mods, it would have been dead years ago. But because of the modding community, and you guys know from watching not only my streams, but LaRue also does a shit ton of mods, especially for us, we couldn't play this game, we wouldn't have this community if it wasn't for mods. We couldn't do it, flat out. It would not be the same. So them having open source for mod makers just fucking propels their game's longevity into who knows when. I mean, like you said, we don't know when ArmA 3 is going to fall off, if it'll fall off. You know, to me, the only time ArmA 3 is going to fall off is when ArmA 4 gets fucking released. And even then, it may be a little while, just like it was going from ArmA 2 to ArmA 3, because it took a while for the mod makers to get up to speed and get shit going. So even when ArmA 4 is released, it's still going to be a minute before we're able to switch over and start doing that. And, you know, again, that's just because Bohemia had the insight to say, hey, our community is amazingly talented. They can make our game even better than what we did. Let them do it. And they did. And it's fucking worked out great for them. Because now Bohemia is one of those companies that at least I know us in this channel, we will support. If they put out a new ArmA, we're gonna fucking buy it because we support that company. If they put out DLC, we're gonna buy it because we support that company. Although Laws of War, I'll admit I didn't buy because it doesn't have anything that I need in it right now. That being said, and very quickly, Swifty, thank you very much for that Twitch Prime subscription. Appreciate the support to the channel. That being said, since we're on the subject of mods, and LaRue kind of brought it up earlier, and this is something that we very lightly talked about a few days ago. That is Bethesda and their new mod system, if you will. For those of you guys that don't know, Bethesda now has a paid mod program within Fallout 4.
Creation Club.
Yeah, Creation Club. That's the name of it. Firstly, before we get into why I now hate Bethesda, what are your guys' thoughts on paid mods? Do you support them? Not support them? What are your thoughts on it?
Aaron, Lee, you guys want to go first on this one?
Aaron, you want to go?
Yeah, sure, why not? I definitely agree that mod makers probably shouldn't make their mods for free. And I know that, especially with games like ArmA, they do it because they want to get, you know, that more experience out of the game. And I know that a lot of mods are not easy. You know, there's mods like RHS that, you know, it's an entire team that works their ass off to make those mods. And another game that we talked about earlier, Minecraft. You know, vanilla Minecraft sucks ass. But because of the modding community, that game has a never-ending like streak. It'll be going forever. But making those mods, it's not an easy thing, and I definitely don't agree that they should be making them for free. Granted, I'm grateful for them, because if we had to pay for all of our fucking mods, we'd be broke just on mods.
Well, as you guys can see, Taco just sent me Laws of War. Thank you very much for that, brother.
Thanks.
So I
It's
agree.
really a tough. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, it's a very, very fucking touchy subject when it comes to paid mods, and this is something that, you know, I've discussed a lot over on the other side of things I do with the racing. You know, with like Assetto Corsa and stuff like that. There are a fuck ton of mod makers for racing games like that as well. Assetto Corsa is one of those games like ArmA where it just would not be the same without mods. And there are paid mods for Assetto Corsa, and this is a huge discussion over on the race department forums where, you know, I race with and I'm a staff member at. And it's incredibly touchy. People get super fucking heated and start, you know, babbling off at their fucking cock flaps like total retards. But it's still a discussion that needs to be had. So what do you think, Leroy, as far as paid mods? Do you support them? Do you think they should be a thing, or should they just always be free?
All right. So this is gonna go into rant mode again.
Give it to me.
But modding back in the day, it was mainly about people either making the mod because they wanted to give something to the community, I knew people that made mods for Gary's mod in Minecraft because they wanted some exposure for themselves. I know a guy who made a shit ton of mods for Bethesda. He made, I forget which mod it was, but it was incorporated in Fallout New Vegas because he made it for Fallout 3. And he actually got hired because he went to an interview with Bethesda and he presented the mods he made. He's like, I'm the guy that made these. And they literally gave him the job on the spot for that.
Which is fairly common.
Yeah. I know a lot of people, they do it just to find a job because that showcases their skill set. And I know some people do it for monetization already. Some, they have Patreon and PayPal links where you can send them a bit of money, or, you can help promote the mod. And through that fashion, you find more people that can possibly give the person money. So people have always been able to pay people for the mods, or at least give their thanks in terms of donations. So monetization for mods themselves has been out there for a while by definition. And I also know there's people that have made some not so good mods. And when I say that, I mean stuff like what people would call hacks, especially for DayZ, that sell those. And, that's more of a black market thing, but it's always been out there. What Bethesda's trying to do now is to just get in on the action. And it's a bit touchy of a subject because, again, we have something new coming out that a lot of gamers are going to be resistant against because it's change. I do know Bethesda originally tried this with Steam on the Steam marketplace, or excuse me, the workshop about a year ago for Skyrim. And while that was going on, the most popular mod was a sign that literally said, "Say no to pay mods." So there was a massive backlash there. And then they eventually cut that, but then said that this will eventually return. And we were all dreading that day. Which now goes to the loot box debacle, but good God. Paid mods, I think that if you want to get your stuff monetized, you have every right to. But that being said, I don't want to see it because, as we saw with loot boxes and Blizzard doing it, once one company does it and they're given the green light, then every other fucking company is going to follow suit and gamers are going to hate it.
Right. And as that one guy just pointed out, a lot of people were copying other mods, marketing them as their own.
Yeah.
Which that is always going to be an issue in the modding community. It has always been an issue. It always will be an issue. Pirating of some way, shape, or form, and it's very, very fucking difficult to combat. But Locke, what are your thoughts on paid mods? Do you support them at all?
It's a really touchy subject because I think modders deserve to be compensated for their work if it's a particularly good mod, and a lot of people use it. I think, personally, I could be totally wrong, but I think the reason why people are against it is because it feels forced. The Creation Club, you jump on Fallout 4 or whatever, and that shit is on the top right, and you're like,
it's
what
all
the
over.
Fuck? I don't want to see that. There's actually a mod to remove that, which is really funny. I think that there's probably a better way to go about it, to maybe advertise the modders, or even hire the modders onto the team or something like that, just to promote them. But the way they're going about it, they're fighting the community, and I think that's bad. You never want to fight your community. If they don't like something and you're just like, well, we're going to do it anyway. The mods they have up too aren't special. Like, I looked at them and it was like some fucking armor or some, power armor or something like that. That was, it was okay. But it was like, I can't remember how much it was, $3 or $4 or
like
$9.
Everything that's on the Creation Club you can get for absolutely free via Nexus.
Yeah. It's like, it's not even anything spectacular. If it was something like that was really cool I'd never seen before, yeah, maybe. But it's not, so. Well, horsepower armor, as 2D says.
Yeah. The thing I want to bring up on this is, again, with Assetto Corsa. Assetto Corsa doesn't have near the, the mod community that something like Fallout 4 has or ArmA has. It's not as large. But there is still a very good modding community. Guys that make some amazing fucking content. There's also guys that make absolute dog shit content. There's guys that steal shit. There's guys that rip stuff out of other games and put it into game, B when they took it from game A, which isn't allowed. Whatever. Okay, that's going to be a side effect of a modding community, of a game being open to mods. That's going to happen. Like I said, it's incredibly hard to combat. I don't know of any way you could straight up stop it, aside from just not allowing a game to be modded. That being said, there are, like I said, paid mods for Assetto Corsa that are incredibly good, and I've bought them. I paid money for them. I supported those guys. I know how much fucking work they put into it, and I have no problem paying $2.50 for this car that I'm going to drive for X number of hours. I can get behind that. But again, that's where you get into that very shady market of not knowing necessarily what you're paying for, and this could potentially be amazing or it could be absolute dog shit. You don't really know. And Bethesda has gone by that by, creating the Creation Club, and the mods that are on there are, approved by Bethesda themselves. And as we said, it's nothing special. And that's what's kind of shot them in the foot, is that all the mods they have there, you can get pretty much the exact same thing, if not better, for absolutely free. And I think the reason for that being is they jumped on the boat too late. They tried to capitalize on a market that was already there, that was already strong, and now they're trying to change that, and it's biting them in the fucking ass. And that's understandable, because all of this free content is already there. Why would I want to fucking pay for fucking power armor when I can go get shit that's just as good, if not better, for absolutely free? So, again, they kind of fucked themselves by jumping on it too late. I do, however, fully support paid mods. Like, those guys, yes, they took it upon themselves to do it. It's not their job, per se. They didn't go into it with a promise of, okay, you're going to get paid X number of dollars for X number of hours that you work on this mod. So they took that risk themselves. Yes, I take a risk every day that I fire up my stream. This is my job. This is what I do for a living. No one has promised me money. I live off of the support from you guys, or at least partially live off the support from you guys. So I can definitely understand mod makers wanting to make money off their mods. They deserve it, absolutely. Again, doing what I do, I can understand that. The issue is, again, when the market is already there, already in place, the community is so large, you can't capitalize on it at that point because it's oversaturated. So, while I appreciate somewhat what Bethesda is trying to do by supporting their mod community, they're not exactly fucking heroes, because they're still getting scratched themselves, which I also understand. They need to make money from it as well. They're hosting the Creation Club. It's all their programming and shit like that that went into it. I have, no problem with Bethesda making a percentage off of each sale. Provided the mod maker is like, yeah, I like that deal. You can put my shit on the Creation Club. That works. That's a fucking agreement between those people. But again, it doesn't work because all of the mods are already there. Now in the future, could say something like Nexus, okay, the website that hosts mods for fucking everything. Could they potentially set up a type of program on their own with their community of modders that go to Nexus and put their stuff up there and say, hey, this is our program. We're going to offer, to monetize your mods. We'll take 5% of each sale. You get the rest of it for this game that's coming out in a year's time. So when you start working on your mods for ArmA 4, we'll put them up here for, $3 or whatever a piece. We'll take 5% of it. You get the rest of it. I can get behind that. Like, I can understand that, because for those mod makers to rely solely on donations, I can tell you now, it's an incredibly stressful way to live your life, to rely on the generosity of other people. And again, that's probably not these mod makers' jobs, that, they have another source of income. But still, if you do have that PayPal button on your mod page to say, hey, if you want to support me, then throw some money this way. That's great. Some people are incredibly generous and will support them and will throw money their way. But the vast majority of people won't. And for someone like Nexus, or even Bethesda down the road, to set up a system for those guys to get recognized for their work and get paid for it, I can get behind that. And what about you guys? Would you, in the future, see yourself supporting something like that?
Hell yeah. Do you know which modder deserves more money? Caliente's beautiful bodies. Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah.
100% agree with Locke on that.
Yeah. But yeah, totally. I mean, if something like that was in place, I have no trouble giving money to talented modders, who create stuff that, I'm definitely going to use, probably permanently in those games.
Right. And that's, a lot of people talk about, well, what's the percentages? How much money is going to the company? How much money is going to the modder? To me, personally, I don't care. Not that I don't care about the percentage. What I mean is I don't need that information. If the modder struck an agreement with, Bethesda or whoever and said, yeah, I'm okay with you taking X amount of dollars from each sale, then that's fine. That's the agreement they made. I'm not the fucking mod maker. It's not my product. So I'm not going to dictate how much money the overhead company should make. So if it's up there for $5 and I deem that mod is worth that $5, then I'm going to pay it. I don't care who gets how much of what. That's an agreement in between themselves. Now, where the issue is for me is, how do I know what I'm getting? Because mods aren't necessarily like a AAA game coming out, or, any game coming out where you get trailers and stuff like that. A lot of mods, like, especially if you go on like ArmAholic, you'll see like YouTube videos of the mods and showing you how they work and stuff like that, which I greatly fucking appreciate. But what would you guys think about basically doing, like, say right now Fallout 4 didn't have any mods. All they had was paid mods and, free mods that some guys just don't want money for, okay? When it came to the paid mods, what would you guys think about a demo period of, say, 24 hours? You can download the mod. It'll work for you for 24 hours. You can check it out. If you like it, you can then buy it. If not, it automatically uninstalls from your machine. Would you guys fucking get behind something like that?
There was a way to guarantee that it does. Oh, by the way, I'm here. It's Loster. Hi.
Yeah.
If there was a way to guarantee that, like, for example, what we do with ArmA, like, if you download a mod off the Steam Workshop, you can just then unsubscribe from it, but you can keep the files. If there was a way to guarantee that that doesn't happen, where people are basically pirating mods at that point, then yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I'm not saying, like, obviously I don't have the fucking know-how to do something like that. I don't even know if it's possible
I don't either.
to do something like that, But that would be my thought is, give me a demo of the mod so I know if I want to spend that $5 or not.
I think demos are a lost and forgotten art in general. Yeah. I remember growing up, I was a subscriber to PC Gamer, and every month PC Gamer gave me a demo disc that had like 8 games on it. And I bought more games based off of those demo discs than pretty much anything else. I bought Mafia 2 because it was a demo for it. Like, I think demos are a great way to. I mean, it's a tried and tested theory. It's a tried and tested practice that works. It goes all the way back to like the early '90s, the late '80s, shareware, like, where they would just distribute copies of the game for free. Here's the first hour of the game. Here's the first episode of the game. If you like it, throw us $15. We'll give you the rest of the game.
Right. Exactly. And
it's worked.
AFA, I'm right there with you. I also still have America's Army demo. What do you think, Leroux? Would you back something like that, like a demo system for paid mods that, you check it out for a little while, and if you like it, you can buy it. If not, it's just gone?
if you could make a system like that, then I would be 100% for it. But as someone that pleading the fifth on some stuff here, but has pirated stuff in the past that follows systems like that, it would need to be airtight in terms of its quote-unquote demo system.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, regular games that come out right now, they can't stop them from being pirated. I mean, there was the big story about fucking Wolfenstein. 48 hours after it was released, it was already up for torrent. So, it's a system, and like with any system, a flaw is going to be found and it's going to be taken advantage of. And, whether or not that is something that can be combated, if they could fucking stop that from happening, which I highly doubt there's a system that could be made right now where they could stop that from happening, that, in my eyes, would be the ideal system. But again, I don't think it's possible. But even if they had a system that was technically flawed in that way, in that you couldn't stop it from being pirated, it's, to me, no different than a regular game that I could go pirate right now, but instead I buy it with my money to support that developer. And I think a lot of people would do that with mods, the same as they do with regular games. Yeah, there would still be the assholes that just pirate it because they're like, fuck it, I'm not going to spend my money. But I think there will still also be those people that would drop their hard-earned cash if they think that mod is worth it. Now, to get back to Bethesda and the Creation Club, and as I said, my thoughts on it, they shot themselves in the foot, rolling it out way too late. That being said, I was looking forward to one mod for Skyrim. I haven't played Skyrim in a long time. I like it, but it wasn't Morrowind for me. Like, I didn't find myself losing hundreds of hours in it. That being said, there was one mod that I was going to download and play the fuck out of. And that was Skyrim Together, I think was the name of it. Do you guys happen to remember?
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah, I was reading about that recently.
So, essentially what Skyrim Together was, is it turned Skyrim into a co-op game that you could have. I believe it was up to 5 people. It might have been 4. But you and your buddies could hop into the game, into Skyrim together, and play Skyrim as co-op. Which any of you guys that have heard me fucking rant before, I'm a firm believer that pretty much every goddamn game should be co-op. Like, the days of co-op are fucking dying because, people aren't gathered around their fucking console anymore doing split screen. And it kills me because I fucking love co-op games. There's a reason I'm in a community of a couple hundred people to play a game together. I like co-op games. So the idea of being able to play Skyrim, a great game on its own, but to be able to play it with friends, that completely changes it. That essentially makes it a whole new fucking game to me. And as I said, I would play the fuck out of it. However, it was announced a couple weeks ago now that the system that Skyrim Together was going to use for their party and matchmaking was going to work through Steam. So essentially, when you click on your buddy's name in the friends list and say join game, that's Steam's system putting you into a party together. Okay? It works great. Bethesda came down and said, we are not going to allow you guys to use that part of the Steam coding from our game to put your parties together for this co-op system. Now, that doesn't mean the mod is dead. The mod makers are still working on Skyrim Together, but now they have to make their own matchmaking system and their own party system to get you guys together in a game, which they said, and as you can imagine, is a fucking daunting task. They didn't have to worry about that before because they had the ability to use the Steam matchmaking system. So that wasn't something that they even worked on in the slightest because it was already there for them. But now, because Bethesda has said, no, we're going to let you use every other part of our game, but we're not going to let you use that code. So we're basically going to kick you in the dick and make you have to spend the next year coming up with your own system. Now, there's been some theories on why Bethesda has done that. Is it A, because they don't like the idea of competition for Elder Scrolls Online? Or is it possibly B, that Bethesda is working on their own co-op system for Skyrim for the Creation Club, and they want to get some fucking scratch off it? LaRue, what do you think on this? Because I know we talked about it a little bit. What do you think is Bethesda's reasoning for not necessarily killing Skyrim together, but putting a pretty big hold on it?
So I had, after we had that conversation, I got some more information and saw a bit more on the light of both sides of the coin. But what they wanted to do for Skyrim Together was, this wasn't just going to be a mod. This was going to be a full, like...
Basically a whole new game.
Yeah, but they were going to... So you know how every game has their own community hub and whatnot? And they have their own section on Steam and whatnot for stuff like that. That's what they were pushing for. They were going to have their entire separate community page, all of this stuff. And from a business standpoint, I can understand why Bethesda made this move, because Skyrim's that's their content, that's their intellectual property. So they were kind of quiet about this mod. They were also kind of supportive. I kind of see this as, when they announced that they were going to try to go for their own community page and whatnot, this is Bethesda not killing the mod per se, but it's trying to step down and say, hey, we understand, we want to be supportive of mod making, but
you're trying to take away from our community.
Yeah, you're trying to make your own sub-community with this. Sure, it's going to extend Skyrim's life even longer. That's why they didn't outright stomp this. But it's because they don't want an entire section of the Skyrim community to go to a different developer group, because it's still their intellectual property. That's the theory I'm sticking with right now. Because if they wanted to stop this for competition or whatnot, they would have just outright stomped it and swept it under the rug.
Right, they would have just flat out killed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. And Afa, to answer your question, what power does Bethesda have to say that they can't use the Steam code? Everything involved with anything, Skyrim, Elder Scrolls, it's their property. They created it. They can do whatever they please with it. They can completely shut it down to mods and tell people, you no longer have access to making mods. Anyone that makes a mod for this game will be considered to be altering our code, and will come after them legally. And they completely can if they want to. It's fully within their rights. But as LaRue said, they have been very supportive of not only the modding community as a whole, but these guys that are making Skyrim Together. They have been very supportive of them. And I think you hit the nail 100% on the fucking head. It's not a matter of they don't want the mod made. They don't see it as competition. If anything, they see it as an improvement for their game that is slowing down. This would breathe new life into Skyrim, sell more copies of it, and just add to the longevity of the game. However, when you look at it from Bethesda's standpoint, that these guys are wanting to essentially create their own game out of a property owned by Bethesda, and that is now going to draw people away from their community and into these guys's, that's where they have an issue. So, like LaRue said, and I agree, I can understand Bethesda's standpoint on that, and I can back them up on that. But again, they are still being supportive of the guys making the mod. They didn't just flat out kill it, which they very easily could do. They could say, yep, we don't want this mod made. You don't have our permission. If you put it out there, our lawyers are going to fucking ruin your life. They didn't do that. They easily could, but they didn't. They just said, no, we don't want you guys making your own community hub and your own separate game. If you want to make your own matchmaking system within our game, that's fine. You guys can do that. We have no problem with it. But it has to be within the game, not outside of the game in your own community.
My guess is that it'll interfere with Elder Scrolls Online totally, because ZeniMax is Bethesda's parent company. And, why would you play Elder Scrolls Online, which is the game that people didn't really want in the first place? They wanted Skyrim, right? Co-op. So that'll totally interfere with that, and I think that's the main reason. And I think the reason why they didn't completely squash the mod is because they saw what happened with Grand Theft Auto 5 when Take-Two tried to
With
do
5M,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, like everyone shit themselves, and it was a huge backlash. So I think that's the only reason why they didn't squash it.
It's possible that they just didn't want to deal with the publicity shitstorm of killing it, and they really don't want it as competition to Elder Scrolls. And obviously, it is going to be competition to Elder Scrolls. I mean, it's the Elder Scrolls universe multiplayer, but I don't think it's as huge of a concern as what you may think for them monetarily, because for them, Elder Scrolls Online is already kind of a dying breed. Like, for them, that they're doing everything they can basically to save that fucking IP and keep it going. If this multiplayer thing takes off, what I foresee them doing is saying, hey, let's put it on the Creation Club. Go into the mod makers that are making Skyrim together and say, hey, we'll support you and help you with this mod if you let us put it on the Creation Club for $5. And those mod makers would be fucking stupid not to do it. Absolutely flat out. Like, yes, I would love to have the mod for free. Of course I would. But I would also pay $5 for it. So if Bethesda, what I think they're doing is them saying, no, create your own system within the game. And then once that mod is ready to go, if I was Bethesda, I would say, okay, you guys are ready to release. You ready to make some money? You release this. We're going to put it on the Creation Club. And you guys are going to make X number of dollars off of each sale. Let's do it. And again, those mod makers would be fucking stupid not to say yes.
Yeah, definitely. That's the best way to go about it. I think Lyra had something too regarding that whole thing. Lyra, are you there?
Yep. So that is more or less what I have been told from a buddy of mine that has a contact within Bethesda. But the only issue with everything that's been going on is Bethesda does not have access to this mod. They do not have access to Skyrim together.
Right.
They're trying to put barriers in front of them to see where it goes, to see not only how dedicated these guys are, but how can they benefit from the long run. It's been a big balance of protecting their intellectual property, but also if there is a result, even past all these barriers, how can they go forward and how can they absorb it within them? And I also want to point out this, it was not done because of, competing with Elder Scrolls Online. Bethesda knows that's dying because they figure that it's something that they don't want. But if they wanted to outright kill the mod, they would have. And the reason I know this is because look at what they've done with paid mods. They already had it happen once, and they got their frickin' foot stepped on when it was deployed on Steam. Now they've brought it back. They're getting their foot stepped on again, but they're just outright saying, no, we don't care what you think. We're going to push this, and this is what we do. They'd have the same attitude if they wanted to actually kill the frickin' mod if they thought it actually competed with one of their products. So the fact that they haven't killed it and put their foot down like they have been doing recently shows that there is a more grand scheme here with what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Bethesda, like you said, they're throwing some roadblocks up there to see what these guys are going to do, and they're just kind of sitting back and waiting. Like, they're sitting back in their fucking office chair with their arms crossed, just watching and waiting and seeing what's going to become of this and can we get involved in it. And so for right now, it's just a big waiting game. And, it's probably going to be a good year or so before we see any more real developments on this. Because, again, it's going to take these guys a while to create a system to be able to put guys together. So it's really just hurry up and wait with this. We don't have a ton of information on it. We just know they're going to be working on this system, and hopefully they'll get it working. And the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to all of this mod stuff was something that Locke brought up there, and that was the absolute shitstorm that 2K went through when they tried to kill 5M. Now, right about that time that happened, that's when I was trying to get involved in the GTA 5 RP stuff with like playing as a cop and stuff like that. In the DOJ community, which anybody that's followed any of that stuff, you know the DOJ community is huge. It's the community that Bugs and Jeff Aviano and all those guys play in. I was in that same community for about a month or so. Personally, guys, I love doing it. I would love to do it regularly and play a cop and, you know, get to berate some fucking happy half-tards for you guys, much in the style of Sheriff Eli, because I think me and that dude would get along great. But to tell you guys the flat-out honest truth, after doing ArmA for as long as I have and spending almost 3 years here in the 506th and being in the position that I'm at here, I can't, like, start back from the bottom and deal with a bunch of fucking squeaker kids and shit like that. There was just too many times in TeamSpeak where I almost lost my shit and told someone to shut their fucking cock flaps before I made them swallow their teeth. So, guys, I would love to do the GTA 5 stuff, but I can't find a community right now where my personality really fits at the lower end of the scale. The higher up guys, they're cool, but I'm not just going to hop in there and start swinging my dick around and saying, hey, this is how this is going to work and stuff like that. It doesn't work. It wouldn't work with someone trying to do it in this community. So I sure as fuck wouldn't try and do it in somebody else's community. So I would love to get involved in this stuff, but I just can't right now unless somebody can find me a fucking direct access to one of those guys at the top and say, hey, I'm not here to be a fucking retard. That being said, 2K tried to shut down 5M, which is the program that basically makes all of that shit possible. Now, the reason they tried shutting it down is because people are capable of taking that 5M and modding, obviously GTA Online, but using it in public lobbies and shit like that to take advantage of people and, you know, just go on killing sprees and shit like that, which nobody fucking likes. Anybody that's been in GTA Online and ran across a fucking hacker, 99% of the time, they're dicks. The other 1% of the time, they drop you millions upon millions of dollars, and it's like fucking Christmas.
And you have to spend it before.
Immediately.
You have to spend it before you log out.
I will tell you guys flat out, I've had it happen twice, and I got a lot of really nice shit because of it.
Yeah, so
I am not ashamed to admit it. I will take
like
advantage of that
$17
shit.
million.
Yeah, exactly. But when that happened, those communities like DOJ and I'll lock, what's the other one that you were involved in? State of Emergency, right?
State of Emergency.
Yeah, State of Emergency, which is the one that Sheriff Eli is in.
Used to. He's not in it anymore.
Oh,
They're
sorry.
in the family RP now.
Oh, okay, so it's a new one now. Those communities very quickly fucking stood up and said, hey, fuck off, you're, you know, destroying the goddamn game for us. And they took a world of shit. I mean, overnight, GTA 5 got fucking review bombed on Steam. People were up in arms like a motherfucker. Just as bad as the stuff going on with EA right now, if not worse, honestly. It may not have had as much mainstream coverage and, you know, investigations and shit like that weren't opened, but the community backlash itself was just as bad, if not worse. And 2K immediately... Well, not immediately, but after Rockstar went to 2K and said, hey, you're killing our fucking game. If you want any hope of there being another GTA or the fact that we just fucking announced Red Dead Redemption 2, I don't know, a couple months ago, if you want any hope of that being successful, you need to unfuck this. And they did. They, I guess, saw the error in their ways and decided to, you know, pull back and say, okay, we're not banning 5M. Now, when all that went down, it was much like what's going on with EA right now. It was just kind of the community sitting back and waiting to see what was going to happen. And when that initially happened, when they banned 5M, what were your guys' thoughts on it? Did you guys think, oh, well, shit, there goes the fucking modding community? Like, other games are going to start following suit now and banning modding. Like, did any of you guys have those thoughts?
No, I didn't have that particular thought, Brewer. Mainly because I'm like, well, Rockstar is gigantic, and it's like even if that happened, I'm of the opinion, I might be wrong, but I think that Rockstar might be at this point too big to fail. Like, you'd literally have to, like, no one, like, the only way to, like, effectively hit them is, like, no one buy a Red Dead, and that's not going to happen. So, when you look at the successes of other games that have successful modding communities, you know, like your Half-Lifes and your City Skylines, Hearts of Iron, just games that have these communities that, like, that's what keeps people going. I don't think those communities were in any danger. I just think that someone saw the bottom line somewhere and it looked a little bit smaller, and some accountant somewhere, some executive panicked and pushed the fucking nuke button.
Well, that's the thing. And, you know, obviously, GTA 5 has microtransactions in it. You know, something that we've been talking about all night. And they've been insanely fucking successful with those shark cards. So successful that we're going to see them in Red Dead Redemption. It's a moot point. Like, there's no discussion about it anymore. They're there. They're not going to be called shark cards or something else, but they're there. That being said, those microtransactions do have an effect on the game. And, you know, with the stuff we were talking about earlier, we could see those become illegal in some fucking places. Or not, because that game is rated for mature audiences, as Red Dead Redemption will be. That being said, though, Rockstar is somewhat of a darling when it comes to the gaming community. They have faced some backlash because of the shark cards that are in there, but the simple fact is, guys still love them and love their products. And how can you not? I mean, GTA 5... it doesn't matter if they have microtransactions or not. The game itself, even without the microtransactions, is flat out fucking amazing. There's no questions to it. It's an amazing game. Red Dead Redemption, the original, was a fucking amazing game. And I'm severely hoping that the second one will be the same. And with the success they've had with GTA 5, I don't see how they could fuck it up. Like Loster just said, Rockstar is damn near too big to fail at this point. Like, they would
Max Payne 3 was a great game.
Yeah, Max Payne 3, another great game. It didn't have as much of a commercial success as, say, GTA 5 did, or Red Dead is probably going to have, but it was a fucking outstanding game. So, they would have to really screw the fucking pooch to, you know, not do well with Red Dead 2. But do you guys think that they've kind of learn the error of their ways as far as 2K and, like, not trying to piss on the modding community? Do you guys think they're like, okay, yeah, we're not going to try that again? Or do you think we could possibly see that happen again in the future?
Go ahead, Locke. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't think so. I think they thought they could get away with it. Then when everything went downhill quickly, they learned, I mean, they might try to do it again, but I think they know pretty much what to expect when they try to screw over something that's that big of a project again.
What do you think, Weewoo? You think 2K would try it again with, say, Red Dead? If people start putting out mods for Red Dead, do you think they'll try it again, or are they just gonna be like, no, fuck that, we tried it and almost fucking died?
See, here's the difference between an issue like this and an issue of loot boxes. For something like loot boxes, it takes informed people making decisions not to buy it. But loot boxes are something that's optional that people can buy. Mods are optional things that everyone's going to know about regardless of how intelligent or how much research you do. And if a company pulls a plug on that, it doesn't matter how stupid the person is, they're still going to be pissed. Therefore, if 2K tries to do it again, they're going to get smacked on the ass again and be forced to put it in. So some company might try it again, but if it's with a big modding community, it's not going to work. And I think everyone's just sitting on the fence to see how Bethesda Creation Club can do, because the only thing they'll be able to do is monetize off of it, possibly. So that's my 2 cents.
Right. So you think if Bethesda is able to unfuck the Creation Club and prove it as a viable way to go as far as a revenue stream, other companies are going to follow suit?
Yes, 110%.
Yeah, and I would agree completely. And again, I don't see it necessarily as a bad thing, provided it's fucking handled correctly and they do it right. I don't see something like the Creation Club being a bad thing, provided the mod makers support it. And obviously, without mod maker support, it's not going to happen. Because if the company itself was able to do it, they would just make another fucking game. You know, they don't need to make mods. They would just make another game and get full price out of it. So I think the Creation Club can be a good thing, and not just for Bethesda, but also for other game companies, and start making these mod makers some money, and potentially see more and more high quality mods. But again, it's gonna have to be handled properly, and right now it's not quite there yet. But hopefully Bethesda is able to get that taken care of and able to make it work. I mean, I genuinely hope they do make the Creation Club work. But with that said, we are getting a little short on time here, as I have some other stuff I need to take care of tonight. And Afa, I did see your comment there in regards to the GTA stuff. I would say go for it, man. If you know someone who could get me in touch with someone or whatever, as far as getting involved in a community or whatever, and you guys as viewers would like to see me get involved in a community like that and do some of the GTA 5 RP stuff, go for it. Because I would love to fucking do it. I would love to stream it for you guys. I think you guys would get a kick out of it. I'm pretty goddamn sure I would get a kick out of it as well. So yeah, go for it, man. I would definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, if you get in with Proxy, you're pretty much in the door, because she's huge with that group. She was at TwitchCon as well.
Oh, right on. And I know Locke also wants to get involved in it, as a couple other guys do, including Drum himself. Me and Drum talked about it months ago about just doing it ourselves. But one, neither one of us have the know-how. Two, we don't really know someone that has the know-how to set it up ourselves, because we wanted to set up our own GTA 5 RP stuff for our community, for the 506th, which would be fucking outstanding. But we don't have the capabilities. We're too centered around ArmA. We have guys that can do any fucking thing you can dream of in ArmA. I mean, we have, guys like Soto that can turn a fucking A10 into an A10 Charlie, to the point that the guys that make the mods are going to Soto saying, hey, can we use your shit? So we have guys capable of doing anything in ArmA, but we're just not there when it comes to GTA 5. So again, you guys know someone that you can reach out to and shit, please do. I'll fucking jump on it. So to wrap up here, guys, before we end, as most of you know, hopefully, we have been running a raffle throughout the entirety of the podcast. I probably should have mentioned it a couple more times, but I'll leave it open for a few more minutes here. We are giving away a copy of ArmA 3 Apex Edition tonight. So that will give you the base ArmA 3 game as well as the Apex expansion, which means you can, if you don't have it and you've been wanting to get involved in our community at the 506, or been wanting to get involved with LaRue and do stuff with him, that gives you the ability, or at least gets you that much closer to getting involved. So if you don't have it, to enter the raffle, all you have to do is in the Twitch chat. I'm sorry, guys, in YouTube, it's pretty much impossible to run a raffle on both sides. But in the Twitch chat, do !raffle, and that will enter you into the raffle to get a free copy of ArmA 3 Apex Edition. All right, and we're giving away a copy tonight just before I end the stream, and I'm going to be giving away another copy Sunday night to celebrate the end of Operation Crimson Moon. So if you don't win tonight, you can also possibly win a copy Sunday night. All right, so yeah, it is a celebration. God damn it, it's been a long deployment, Loster.
Yes, it has.
So if you guys want to get a chance to win a free copy, again, !raffle in the Twitch chat. Only do it once. And while you guys are getting the last minute bids in there, or getting into the raffle, I want to kind of go through, I guess everybody's kind of last words, if you will. Locke, any last minute points you want to make on the shit we've discussed tonight, as far as mods, paid mods, fucking loot boxes, stuff like that?
No, nothing I can think of. I think we covered it pretty thoroughly during the podcast. It was a really good show. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Loster, I know you got in here late, but any last minute words from you as far as the shit we've been talking about tonight?
I'd hate to say something that was already said, so I'll try to avoid that. Mainly, I just wanted to go off of just make a point to mention what you said before. It kind of goes both ways. That Skyrim or Bethesda waited too long to implement the system that it implemented. I think 2K did the same thing, but in reverse. It was in there forever, and then they took it away. Like it doesn't.
Right.
It's either in there or it isn't. Like I feel like you have a community that's like centered around a certain ideal, and then as soon as you throw something in there and change it, it fucks up the whole community, and that's what happened both ways.
Right.
As speaking from experience with GTA 5, I mean, if you talk to people in the unit, there was a group of at least I think like maybe 9 or 10 of us that played GTA 5 on a regular basis. Locke was one of them, and as soon as that shit happened, every server that you would go to had a hacker, had a modder in it that would just fuck up your day. And I remember me and Locke were playing, and it's like, fuck this. I don't want to play anymore. Like, I don't even want to do this anymore. I uninstalled it.
Yeah, it's definitely about timing when it comes to that shit and handling it properly, which it hasn't been done yet. Nobody's been able to pull it off properly. And again, I do think it's possible, but it's a matter of timing and handling it, not necessarily with kid gloves, but just doing it right. What about you, Aaron? Any closing thoughts for tonight?
No, I think we covered everything pretty well. I appreciate you having me on. Everybody have a good evening and good luck in the raffle.
Excellent. And last but definitely not least, the man, the myth, the fucking legend, the great one who is incapable of pronouncing words correctly, Wee Woo. Any closing thoughts for the guys tonight?
Variant.
Fucking hate your face.
Loster, you're absolutely right. I'm a weeb, and radical action with each hacker on the server. Yeah, sucks. Those were fun, though. Also, shout out to everyone participating in the raffle. Make sure you also know about the other raffle we're doing, which is going to give away a monster gaming rig on the 20th of December. And Brewer, I like white pizzas, so make sure you remember that, because I definitely am winning. Other than that, great podcast as always. Love talking with you guys. And yeah, may the best person in the raffle win.
Well, to do a quick update on that, as far as the total tally right now, no, we'll have to get that later. But I did, this is something that I completely forgot to mention earlier that I was going to. You guys that are in the raffle, which again, anybody that donates $1 or more, each dollar gets you a ticket in the raffle. Everybody that's entered into that, whoever wins that, I guarantee you is going to have a great Christmas. Reason being, I actually ordered the PC on, what was it, was it Tuesday I ordered it, or Wednesday, something like that?
Tuesday.
Yeah.
The podcast that we couldn't do.
So, I already ordered the PC. Now, the reason I ordered the PC, it'll be here this next Tuesday. It'll be at my fucking doorstep, and I will send it out to whoever ends up winning on the 20th of December. The reason I ordered it is, as you guys know, there are a ton of Black Friday sales and stuff like that going on. Well, as I was perusing through all the sales, I seen a computer on there that was for sale that was only $200 more than the one we were going to give you guys for the raffle. So I said fuck it and ordered the bigger PC to give you guys something better. So me and Wee Woo got the money together, ordered the PC. Again, it'll be here on Tuesday. Now this new PC, I will tell you guys flat out, whoever wins this, you are going to have a better computer than I have by a ways. Okay, so you're going to have a better rig than what I use, aside from the number of monitors and peripherals and shit. But this computer has an i7 7700K, 32 gigs of DDR4 RAM, 1 terabyte hard drive, a 480 gig solid state drive, a GTX 1080, and of course, Windows. Now, I also ordered a 27-inch 1440 hertz monitor from Acer to go with this for another $200. Now, all of this stuff, normal retail price, you're looking at close to a $2,400 rig that we are going to be giving away to one of you guys that wins this raffle. Okay, so again, whoever wins this is going to have a better rig than anybody I personally know, aside from maybe Hammer, because fuck that guy. So essentially, on December 20th, one of you guys are going to get a $2,000 plus gaming rig, care of myself and LaRue. So I'm definitely looking forward to that day. That's going to be a very, very fun day when we get to give you guys a fucking monster PC. So, that being said, let's give away something now. Let's give away a copy of ArmA 3 Apex Edition. So I'm going to close the raffle here and draw a winner. Now, what's going to happen is when I draw the winner, you're going to need to message me on Twitch with your email. Okay, your email that is linked to your Steam account. So message me your email that is linked to your Steam account, and in the next 48 hours, you will have a copy of ArmA 3 Apex Edition. Alright, so let's draw a winner. And the winner is Dovakit3.
Oh!
Who is that?
Congrats, dude.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Yep.
Is
It's
that
right there in
anybody
chat.
from our community? Oh, there we go. So, Dob, congratulations. You have won a free copy of ArmA 3 Apex Edition. Again, make sure you message me on Twitch with your email that is linked to your Steam account, and I will get that over to you. Again, congratulations. And if you guys did not win tonight, don't worry. You have another chance to win a copy Sunday night at the end of my stream for Task Force Bravo's operation. Again, hopefully to celebrate the end of Operation Crimson Moon. So, in closing, I would definitely wanted to thank you guys for tuning in tonight, hanging out with me and the crew, and throwing some points in there for discussion. Definitely appreciate it. I'm glad you guys were able to come hang out, considering we had to reschedule the podcast from Wednesday to today. And yeah, again, thank you guys for hanging out, and hopefully you have a fucking awesome weekend, and I will see you all later.